Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Manakin Genomics Symposium entitled Comparative Studies of Evolution and Behavior in a Unique Clade of Birds. My name is Ignacio Moore, and my co-organizer is Blake Jones. But we are just two of the members of a broader group known as the Manakin Genomics RCN. This is a research coordination network that's sponsored by the National Science Foundation. And you can see here in a picture is a number of us. This is from a meeting a couple of years ago in Brazil. And what I want to emphasize is that this is really a broad group and a diverse group from a number of institutions. So just in the symposium, we have representatives from all the institutions you see here that come from everything from liberal arts universities to major research institutes, to as well as international participation from a variety of groups from Europe as well as South America. And so we are a diverse group of scientists that are really interested in mannequins from a number of different perspectives. So why are we interested in mannequins? Well, the 51 species of mannequins collectively exhibit one of the most diverse arrays of outrageous adaptations as a result of sexual selection. These include intensely bright plumages, extreme morphologies and neuromuscular abilities, and complex social hierarchies and sociality. In other words, if mannequins were humans, they'd be among the greatest artists, athletes, and socialites of our society. And so this image here gives you an idea, at least, of the plumage variation that we have in these birds. And these are all males, and you can see these dramatic differences in plumage among species. I won't show you videos of the behaviors of them, although they are equally as dramatic as the plumage, because sometimes I found that videos don't play as well on Zoom. But if you search the internet for mannequin behavior, you can see a lot of the dramatic behaviors for yourself. What I will say is that the goals of the Manakin Genomics RCN, originally the goal was to address the evolutionary implications of sexual selection from the genome to ecology using mannequins, which are a family of neotropical birds, as a model clade. The network, as I said, brings together pioneers in the application of genomic approaches, as well as field researchers that have gathered long-term ecological, physiological, and behavioral data, along with software developers and information management specialists to enrich, share, and connect large-scale data sets that provide the foundation to tackle fundamental questions of how organisms evolve. Now, one thing I want to tell you is that we actually have a website, the mannequinsrcn.org. And again, this is a project that was sponsored by the National Science Foundation as part of their research coordination network program. And so I want to encourage everybody to go to this website to learn more about the research that's being done by the group. And so again, this is a research coordination network. We've got a website. And among the objectives, we have the single sort of broad goal, but what are the actual objectives of the group? And they list them 5 here. You can see them on the website, so you don't have to read this all here. But the first one is to create, enrich, and share genomic resources for an intensely studied clade of non-model sub-ocine passerine birds. 2 is to develop mechanisms to connect heterogeneous large-scale data sets. These include behavioral, morphological, ecological, physiology, histology, distribution, demography, pedigree, with other data archives, including DNA polymorphism, phylogeography, gene expression, etc., to enhance analysis and enable synthesis of these data. The third one is to facilitate comparative collaborative investigations across many hierarchical levels of organization. 4th, to advance our broad understanding of the pervasive effects of sexual selection on phenotypic and genetic diversity through novel approaches that combine genomic with ecological and other existing data compiled by the RCN project. And 5th, to develop and publish a roadmap for coalescing genomic with other approaches to the study of non-model organisms. enabling application of systems, databases, and analytical techniques developed by this project that can then be applied to other study systems, including non-avian taxa. So a lot of words here, but you'll actually see some of the examples of these projects in the talks that are coming up in the symposium. Beyond just the research perspectives on as part of the RCN, we also have a strong outreach and education component. And this is best exemplified by this coloring book that was put together by some members of the RCN, specifically people that are working with Brent Horton at Millersville University. If you go to our website, you can download this coloring book. This coloring book is actually quite fantastic. It's not just a coloring book, but it also includes a lot of biological information about the species that are depicted in the coloring book. And so I highly encourage everyone to check that out, spread it widely. It's a good way to educate the world about how cool mannequins are. So what are some of the other things we're going to be talking about in this symposium? So I've divided them up here in some of the broader themes, talking about why mannequins. Well, first we're going to have a number of talks about the physiology of mannequins, and these include neuroendocrine control of behavior, and that's talks by Barney Schlinger and Roz Dakin. You can see here I put the names of the presenting authors as well as the presentation numbers after them. If it has an S in front of it, it's part of the symposium. If there's no S, it's part of the companion session, which is session 16. Then we'll have a talk on physiology and behavior by Matt Fuchsjager. And finally, on aging, specifically looking at the role of telomeres by Ben Vernasco. We're going to have a number of talks that are focused on behavior. These include the control of social behavior, genomic control of social behavior. These will be talks by Brent Horton and Perry Bolton. Social status will be talked by my co-author in this presentation, Blake Jones. Leo Fusani will talk about elaborate courtship displays, which are a hallmark of this group of birds. Lainey Day and Alice Boyle will talk about acrobatics, and I highly encourage you, if you really like to see videos of behavior, to see that. These birds are rather remarkable in the acrobatic displays that they produce. Elsie Sjogren will talk about individual and population variability in these birds as part of her dissertation. Lillian Manica and Camilo Afonso will talk about cooperative displays, another unique characteristic of these birds, where males display cooperative behaviors. Mercedes Foster will talk about leks. These birds often use a lek-type mating system. And then Clunas will be talking about social networks in these birds, another aspect of their social behavior that's quite fascinating. Because this is the Manakin Genomics RCN, there's been a strong evolution component. We actually have 5 high-quality genomes at this point. This has actually just been published by Leite et al. Yeah, you can see the reference here. It's still not out. It's in press. And there's a number of talks that are related to the genomic aspects. So H.C. Lim is going to be talking about genomic aspects of sexual selection in these birds. Morgan Worthland is going to be talking about genomic mechanisms underlying the evolution of behavior. Kira Long is going to be talking about sexual selection in a hybrid zone between a couple of these species. Chris Balakrishnan is going to be talking about sexual selection in genome evolution, which is one of the culminating ideas behind the whole RCN. Pedro Paulo is going to be talking about population differentiation. And finally, Robert Driver will be talking about visual perception, another really interesting aspect of these birds because they are so dramatic in terms of their coloration as well as their behavior. So here, this is just a list of the talks that are going to follow up after my presentation here today or right now. I've divided them up into sort of these outlined colors because that represents the timing of the group. So we have 5 talks that are organized roughly around the physiological aspects. Then in yellow, we've got 3 talks to follow. that are mostly organized around behavior, followed by the green talks, which are transitioning from the behavior into the genomic aspects, and finally, the genomic aspects in pink at the end. And then, as I said, we have a companion session of complementary talks. These are listed here, and I highly encourage you to check them out as well. And finally, again, I want to emphasize that this really has been a group project in which a number of investigators have come from different backgrounds together to address these similar types of questions, all centered around mannequins and specifically genomics. And so if you're interested in mannequins, please come talk to us. If you're interested in genomics, come talk to us. And also if you're interested in how an RCN can work and how it can increase your research productivity and take your research into new areas, I encourage you to talk to us as well. And with that, I'd like to, I'll stop now. And in a second here, we'll start up with the presentations in the symposium. Thank you very much.